Hello and welcome to Crime Talk English. Today I have a very interesting story to share with you all. It's not the usual crime story that you will hear of a heinous murder, rape or any other kind of heinous crime. But it's a story of how an entire nation, an entire community was persecuted and they had to leave their homeland. And I'm talking about the people of Tibet, how they fought the Chinese and left with no option. They became homeless in their own land, and we all know many of them settled in India. Here is a story of an 85-year-old man that I recently happened to meet in Ladakh when I was there covering the current tensions between India and China. This man goes by the name of Gyamso. He's 85, he's aging, but he remembers everything very clearly of what happened many years back when he was a young man and how he fled from Tibet and finally had to come to India. In fact, it's rather interesting that he is perhaps one of the first of those many brave Tibetans who joined the Special Frontier Force, or the SFF, that's been in the news of late. SFF was up till now a very secret unit of the Indian Army carrying out secret operations, be it in the 1971 war or even during Kargil conflict with Pakistan in 1999. But back to Gyamso. He lives in a village in Ladakh now with his family. He was also part of the SFF, as I said, perhaps one of the first to cross over and join the SFF. But his story goes back many decades back in 1955 when, as a young man, he was barely 20 years old and he took on the Chinese aggression in Tibet, and he joined the armed rebels who were taking them on, and he decided to fight with them. And as the rebellion started, then he was very much part of several operations. He's seen fighting for many days, hardships, and how he fled from his own home. Now Gyamso, obviously with his fading memory, has to think a little hard whenever he speaks, but as he gets into his flow, he comes up with facts that obviously are not known, because this is the kind of events that he narrates, and that's what he did to me when I met him recently, that obviously I had not read anywhere else, because this is his personal life. That's the turn of events that his life took. He says that he had 7 siblings, and his parents, they all lived in Tibet, and as the uprising started and he along with his brothers became part of this conflict taking on the Chinese, he had to be on the run. Obviously in the fighting, in the conflict, 2 of his brothers got killed, but that did not stop him, and at a very young age he had to leave his family, and he ended up being in forests, taking on the Chinese, literally living the life of a guerrilla. That's what he recalls. And he didn't know what home was. The comforts of a home were not known to him. He was always on the battlefield, and after fighting continuously for many years, being on the run, he did manage to escape to India. He claims that he was amongst the close bodyguards of Dalai Lama when he came into India in 1959. After crossing over to Arunachal, he says that he once again went back to Tibet, knowing fully well of what the repercussions are going to be. But that's how motivated he was as a young man, that nothing could stop him. So despite coming in an area where he would have been safe, he could have started his life again, he chose to go back and be part of that combat rebel group in Tibet. Finally, when there was no other option, his brothers were killed, his several friends, comrades got killed. He somehow managed to once again make his way to India, and this time when he was in India in 1960, he knew that there is no going back to this to his homeland, and this is when a new journey began. After the 1962 war, the SFF, as I mentioned earlier, the secret force, which has found a lot of mention in the current tensions and the standoff in Ladakh, he happened to join that. Once he joined the SFF, he went through the training in Chakrata in what is now Uttarakhand, and he also recalls how he was trained by the CIA from the United States of America, and he says that they were so professional when it came to their training. Neither did the Tibetans nor did the Americans knew each other's language, but they found a way out to communicate. These are the interesting anecdotes that he recalls even at the age of 85, as he talks about his struggles, about his experiences of being in the SFF. Once he joined the SFF, obviously he was part of a lot of secret operations in the northeast. He has been on the borders with China. He recalls several encounters with the Chinese as well, saying that all these young men like him who were Tibetans and were part of the SFF were always highly motivated, ready to take on any Chinese aggression, and in fact they were so motivated that often they had to be told by their seniors to calm down, because this was not a warlike situation. These were just standoffs sometimes that he was also part of. After many years, why I am narrating this story is because now there is a context to the stories of people like Gyamso and many others. I have been in Ladakh covering the conflict, and it's very clear that several Tibetan homes have these kind of stories of valor, bravery and resilience, of how they took on the Chinese and then left their homelands, left their country, left the comfort of their homes, and came and settled in India, started their lives literally from scratch. Now Gyamso, after serving the Indian Army for many years, lives in Ladakh. He's 85 years old. Since he retired long back, he's been farming in his little village of Angling in Ladakh. And it's interesting that he has a big family that lives with him. He has his wife, his daughter, his son-in-law, and also his wife's parents, who are almost 100 years old, who are living with him. They too had fled from Tibet, just like he had, and he was so engrossed in his life and the Tibetan struggle, being part of the army, that he really forgot that he had a personal life, and that's the reason why he married very late. His wife goes by the name of Sonam, is 22 years younger than him, and but she lives with him very happily, and the entire family has these tales to tell about how they had left Tibet. But for Gyamso, obviously the high point was being part of the Indian Army, and even today when he talks, he speaks like a true Indian soldier, and he says that given a chance, a lot of young men from Tibetan origin who are part of the Indian Army, part of SFF, also deployed in some of these areas where there has been a lot of friction over the last 6 months. Now, given a chance, they will give a befitting reply. These are brave men, their heart beats for Tibet even today, but there are also true Indians, and they are so thankful to India for everything that India has done for them. They got shelter in this country, and this literally became a home away from home for so many families. And the tradition of young men joining the army, joining the SFF continues even today. And people like Gyamso, who might be at the fag end of their lives, but they say that they are very hopeful that this tradition of generations, the new generation also joining the Indian Army, is going to continue for many, many more years. There are stories within the story, when one talks of families and lives of people like Gyamso. His son-in-law, who lives with him and runs a small shop for a living in the area, he has an interesting story also to tell about his family. Just like Gyamso's family, so many Tibetan families were displaced. Some of them were left in Tibet. Some managed to come back to India. And Gyamso's son-in-law has another very intriguing tale of his own. His own brother has been living in Tibet and is not an Indian, even though he with his parents managed to escape. But his older brother, who's in his 50s, he says, is still in Tibet, and until few years back, he didn't know how to meet his brother. But his brother happened to come to Bodh Gaya, which is, of course, a big Buddhist attraction. It's a place of pilgrimage for Buddhists from all over the world. And Gyamso's son-in-law's brother somehow managed to tell him that he is visiting Gaya, so if possible, he can come and meet him there. He came via Nepal, and he says that although he had a visa for Nepal, he managed to bribe his way through to the Chinese embassy officials and managed to enter India, and then get to Gaya. And in Gaya was the big reunion that the two brothers had. And once they met, this was about 5 years back. Since then they have been in touch. They exchanged phone numbers, they have been in touch, but obviously there is no way that Gyamso's son-in-law can cross over to Tibet and meet his brother or his family. So these are several stories of people like Gyamso, of younger people who are separated by generations, and how they were displaced. As I said in the beginning of the show, that these are not those everyday crime stories that one hears, but these are stories of displaced people, of families that got broken because of very trying circumstances. And it's people like Gyamso and his son-in-law and many others who have similar tales. Of course, why I tell this story is in the backdrop of what's happening in Ladakh right now. And in fact, one of the SFF personnel were also killed in action in the tussle that's taking place in Ladakh. And Nima Tenzin, he was part of SFF and he got killed, and he got a grand farewell from the Tibetan community living in Ladakh. I was there in Ladakh again when this happened, and that funeral where hundreds and thousands of Tibetans gathered to say goodbye to not just a Tibetan hero, but also who they feel is a hero for India. These stories of people like Gyamso or Nima Tenzin have not been told often, because these what one can call them hidden warriors of India, silent warriors of India. Not much is known because They were always part of secret operations, and that's the reason why, very little is known about these people. But in the current circumstances, of course, it's no more a secret. The SFF has been talked about, it's been written about, and why I chose a Gyamso's story was specifically because, he had a colorful life, it seems. The way he narrates his life, his story, how he fought the Chinese, how he escaped. He takes a lot of pride in each and every aspect of his life, and he claims that he was one of the close bodyguards of Dalai Lama. Of course, it's a fact that I cannot verify independently, but I'll go by what he had to tell me. And how this man, even at this age of 85, his spirit that he lives on with, and the passion that he lives on with, walking around his little village wearing a cap which says "Free Tibet," and still says that, given a chance I can go and fight the Chinese. It's just the resilience that made me narrate his story, and all of them, even the newer generations, feel the same way when it comes for the Tibetan cause. And what better time than this, when India and China have been involved in a long standoff. It's been 6 months now in Ladakh. Things obviously still remain tense, but the kind of stories of courage that these Tibetan warriors reflect, these are inspiring stories, and that's why I chose to tell one of these stories today. Again, not the conventional crime story of murder or kidnappings or police, no drama, but just a story of human resilience, of how an entire community, even after decades of suffering at the hands of another country, managed to not only flee from there, but find a new life, and they still have hope. They still hope that one day they will be able to go back to their homes in Tibet, meet their families, whoever are left, whoever they are in touch with, and they can lead normal lives of two homes, one in India and the other in Tibet. So keep watching Crime Talk in English. We will keep bringing to you all sorts of stories. This was an offbeat story, not related to conventional crime, but extremely intriguing in the current context of what's happening, a story of human resilience. Don't forget to subscribe to Crime Talk English to hear many more stories on crime, investigations, terrorism, and everything related to conflict. Thank you very much.